Welcome to the Architecture of the Soul, a space where we explore the energetic design behind who you are and the work you're here to do. Through astrology, human design, and gene keys, we uncover the deeper blueprint guiding each of us towards alignment, purpose, and meaningful work. In each episode, I sit with healers, leaders, and changemakers to decode their design and trace the path that brought their purpose to life. This is where your design meets your story, and alignment becomes a way of being. Let's step into the architecture of your soul. Hello and welcome to the Architecture of the Soul podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Klein, and today my guest is Garry Lineham from Human Garage. Thank you, Garry, for coming today.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. It's been quite the journey we've had together.
Yes, it is. And just before we got on, we mentioned just kind of the energy today. So we've been in Aries, all about fire. You and I have a lot of fire in our charts. So just naturally, that's kind of who we are. And so we're at 19 degrees or step 19, which is a Taurus degree about manifesting. So we're just manifesting this fire. It's the way that I look at it. And for me, it's really a pivotal energetic moment. And in the world, the Mars moving into Aries here soon, and Uranus, that's at 29 degrees Taurus, is going to be moving into Gemini. And so that's
Mars is moving into Aries.
Right.
That's why, and as we've been talking about for years, that's why the world is coming to this fulcrum. And then, and would you say it was?
Yeah. So Uranus is at 29 degrees Taurus.
Yeah.
And so and
that makes
this is the world stuff, right?
That makes perfect sense, and I can say that that some repeating patterns have come around me, like they always do, and they come in patterns. Currently, it's Aquarius, Taurus, and generally Aquarius and Taurus. They've been like for the last 2 weeks, every single person I meet on the street, every single person that I bump into, has been that, and actually repeating dates like February 3rd, May 18, 19. Literally 20 people in the last 2 weeks have come up randomly with those two combinations.
Yeah, so crazy.
And that makes sense because Taurus is an Aquarius. So
yeah.
Uranus in Aquarius, which is Uranus is in community. We're manifesting, which is Taurus. And then we're in Aquarius, which is community. Right. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of stuff, obviously, movement in the world and the collective, but it's really April's the month, that it's just like we've been seeing it, but now it's just like whoosh, we're full in. You ready or not? Here it comes. But well,
it was funny. I've been ready for this since 2019, 7 years, and I still don't feel ready. That's the crazy part. I did a podcast with Maria Manonas yesterday, and she was one of the last people I touched 7 years ago when we shut down the clinic. It was right around this time. It was almost our 7-year anniversary. And I'm starting to see this recurrence of also people that were in my life then coming back. So there's been all of these patterns, and it's been interesting to watch. But I certainly, even though I know it's all coming, it doesn't always feel ready. It kind of gives me the ability to move through it easier, but it certainly doesn't feel ready.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to take a moment. So a lot of people watching this podcast probably know who you are. But for those that don't know who you are you? Where'd you come from? And maybe just a little bit of like your story. And you don't have to get too in depth, but just your story of how you got to have this movement of Human Garage.
Well, I think the best way to say it is I'm an entrepreneur. And then like a lot of other people, or a lot of entrepreneurs, when there's a problem that you can't fix for the outside world, you create a solution. So 35 years trying to solve this problem of not feeling good in my body. I used to say pain, but pain is really indifferent and it's irrelevant because I didn't feel comfortable. And sometimes it was painful, sometimes it was emotional, which is painful. Sometimes it was perceptual, it was what I thought. But generally, I just didn't feel good and I was looking to feel better. After spending millions of dollars and 35 years, I found that the answer was not all of the things that I had tried to do, all the therapies, all the courses, all the seminars, all the coaching, all the doctors, all the practitioners, all the, from the physical medicine to the energetic medicine. The answer was really just inside of me. And in 2020, we started the global movement. The global movement happened. We knew the pandemic was coming. We didn't know what it was, but we knew that we had to be out of the United States, and we were. And then when it actually came, we just decided to take this self care that we were working on when I found my answer and share it with people. Today, there's going to say roughly, I think the realistic, by the time you release this, probably the realistic numbers, probably somewhere between 85 and 100 million people practicing a fascial maneuver every day. We touch 1 billion people every 3.5 months right now. And that was the goal, is just to get to 1 billion. And what we're seeing is we're seeing this shift. We're seeing the world sharply divide right now into those who are doing something, taking the lessons of their life and moving forward, and those who are being torn up and falling behind. And it doesn't seem to be that there's any mercy in that. It's either you're being accelerated forward or you're being tore up. And sometimes when you're being accelerated forward, people are being accelerated so fast that it feels like the crap's getting kicked out of them because it's coming at them so fast, but they're moving through it.
Right. Yeah, and some of us that maybe have been a little bit more conscious that these shift and changes need to happen. It's a little more slow over time. It's been happening for us. But those that have not, you always said, it's just gonna hit them.
Hmm.
And whether it's you personally or, what's going on in the world. And so many people are affected, right, by the energy of the world. And so that kind of rules their life sometimes. So it's it's really a big deal or a big shift. And if, I always say, like, ready or not, here it comes. So um that's kind of where we're at. Um so I'm excited. So you and I know each other.
Hmm.
So I got introduced to Human Garage the summer of 2022. Same as you, feeling pain or these things in my body that I didn't like. It was really bothering me. I couldn't function, couldn't sleep. And then I have some places in my body that are impaired, have right, lost range of motion and all these things happening. And I'm, you know, doing all the things kind of like you did. And I got introduced to this and I did some fascial maneuvers and um, being a body worker most of my life, working on other people's body. Within 3 to 4 days, to feel a reduction in this nerve pain is what, I called it, um, was like fascinating. I was like, there's something here. And so that just started my whole journey, of course, with Human Garage. Um, and then fall of 22 is when I met you in person at your very first retreat in Cancun, Mexico. So
Yeah.
as we say, like, the rest is history.
Yeah.
Uh, and we've just been connected ever since. And
And it's been an interesting journey. We have been, as you know, we've been telling people for a long time that this is coming because it's the astrology says it. Most spiritual doctrine talks about this time. It's hard for people. What I've noticed is it's hard for people to actually recognize that they're in something when they're in it. It's really easy when it went by to go, that was that time. But right now, we're in that time that everybody's been talking about for literally thousands of years. We're here. And it kind of feels the same, but it feels very different at the same time.
right, exactly. Well, today, what I'm going to do is I am going to kind of dive into your astrology, your human design, and your gene keys. And so the way that I work with people is I'm looking at energy, 'cause everything is energy. And I'm just using these charting systems to kind of direct what I feel or see within someone. And so I got into this because for myself, like we do sometimes, right? When we explore something new. And it has helped me so much in my own journey of healing that then I wanted to start learning about other people. So I started doing charts for other people.
Mhm.
And, all these years later, now it's like, for me, it's been a tool. Usually it's me touching someone's body that gives me the information
without getting in the way.
because physically I haven't been able to do that as much. This has been another way that I can energetically kind of see patterns in the world and people. And really the point of this is to talk about you energetically in an intimate way that really points to that you were made and designed to do the work in the world that you're doing.
Sure.
So it's really kind of, and your astrology very well. And
Mhm.
I don't know how much, human design and gene keys, I know you know about it, but it's just like all the patterns and all the things that connect. And like you and I have like a few gene keys that are the same, but they're in different areas. And so like how that looks and connects us together. And so we're going to talk about that.
Sure.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So a lot of people know you as a 29-degree Sagittarius,
Mhm.
right? So experienced a lot in your life as this kind of master soul and a lot of fire in your chart. So the interesting thing, so I have like a zoom out perspective. So we can zoom really in and focus really deeply on astrology or human design and gene keys, but sometimes we have to kind of zoom out our perspective to kind of see just the energy, right? And so the first thing, like when I looked at your chart, which is very similar to my chart, is almost like when you were born, almost all of your planets and everything is what we call in like above the horizon. So like conscious energy. And you only have a few things that were kind of below. So unconscious. So you most likely went throughout your whole life kind of knowing like I got to do these things, like all these things kind of have to happen. They're a little more conscious. And then obviously the unconscious things had to surface. But my chart is very similar where mine's almost all. Actually mine is all conscious and the only thing that's in the unconscious is my wounding, my chiron. So I start like talking about that with people because that's interesting because like I'll kind of talk about your parents a little bit, but people's like when they just come into the world of how much stuff is conscious or unconscious really shows a lot of what their life is going to be.
Sure.
And so I think that's really interesting. I also looking at the energy of the four elements. So fire versus earth, air, and water. So you have a lot of fire, but you also have a lot of earth. They're pretty equal. And your air are all pretty equal. So it's your water, at least when you were born, right? When you're imprinted with this energy, your water, what we would say, is the most depleted. And that is also where your Chiron wounding is. So this is where I think it gets interesting. So side, nurturing, water, and feminine energy, right? So when we get into human design and different things, we'll see some of these kind of synchronicities. But your your moon is a 14-degree Capricorn. And I don't know if you know this, but today we're at 13 degrees Capricorn. So we're connecting here with your emotions, hopefully today.
Yeah, I can see that. And I've been processing a lot. There's been a lot of emotional input because even working with people is emotional, and I recognize that's not physical. It's the emotions that are required to make it happen. And there's been a lot of that happening lately.
Yeah. Well, and Capricorn moons are known to, as you know, and teach us all the time, are a little more stoic in their emotions. And obviously they have them, but, they're just, a little more grounded in that. And then being an Aquarius degree, it's a lot about belonging. So when you do want to emote your emotions, it's in a sense of wanting to feel like you belong. And so I think that's very important when we're talking about how we have relationships with other people and share our emotions. Um, and the first time you read my chart, you're just like, you summarized it as saying, oh, you're very sensitive, emotional. like energy. And I was like, no, I'm not. I was so offended. I was like, no, I'm not, Gary. And yes, I am. I have a lot of that actually in my chart, but I would have suppressed it. So it was just interesting, like I said, on this journey for myself of having this more intuitive, water, emotional. Obviously, I'm a Scorpio, in me. So I wanted to, start with that, and then I'm going to move into your human design. Are you familiar much with your?
Yeah. Basically, I have basic, but I speak human design like I speak Spanish.
Like you speak Spanish?
Enough to begin this.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll dive into your human design. So when I'm teaching people about their bodies and their energy, I talk about like astrology. You can look at it energetically as like all the patterns, all these
Hmm.
all these energetic patterns, right? Then you go into human design and it's the mechanics. So how does that energy go in and out of you? How is it contained in you? So it's just the mechanics of that. And then our gene keys is really specific genetic gifts. Like it really hones in on these gifts. So for you, you're a generator
Hmm.
and I'm also a generator. So about 70% of the population are generators. And then there's a hybrid called manifesting generators. Most of the world are generators. We're the workers here to do the work in the world. And then we have 20% are projectors, which are kind of the guides. We have 9% is manifestors, and that they're only here to inform us with their ideas. And then the 1% are these reflectors, and that's all they're here is to reflect other people's energy. Um, so being a generator, I have felt from a young age, and probably you too, you just a lot of energy and just like go, 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 and want to always be doing something, right?
Yes,
But the key throughout our life is finding the right, they say channels of energy, because we can also get burnt out if we're doing a million things that are the wrong things. So I think these charting systems help kind of if you need the help. Sometimes you figure it all on the way, and sometimes these help people kind of bridge that gap to where
I
they
agree.
need to be.
I agree totally.
Yeah. So a difference between you and me is generator. So I'm a sacral generator. That's called my authority. So like all my intuition, my decision making is all from my gut. So I get a very hard yes or no in my body. And so this was very interesting, I thought, when I first did yours, is your authority is emotional.
Hmm.
And so people who are emotionally defined just have higher waves of emotion. So they have high and low lows. And you'll see this a lot as a kid, teenage years, and then usually you figure it out and adapt that's, not everyone, but that you have these high highs and low lows. And so the thing with emotional authorities is that they need to come to a place of neutrality in their emotions before they make decisions.
Hmm.
And so as a kid, this can be kind of an issue. Everyone in my home is emotionally defined except me. So this has been a lot of my learning myself when I feel all this chaos that it's not mine, because their highs and lows are all at different times. And it's not that I don't have emotions, but when I make decisions in my life, my emotions are not part of it.
Hmm.
And so I feel like just people knowing whether they're emotionally defined or not is a big
It's a big one because
deal with how their energy.
I work with people all the time, and the conveyance of energy is emotional. So people think it's physical work, but I'm working with people emotionally. And when I've done work, somebody will say, "What do you want? Do you want red or white, or do you want dinner, or do you want?" I'm like, "I don't know. I can't. I literally cannot make a decision
Right.
until until I calm myself down." And that's to your point. Um, I have, when I'm working at high volume, I have to have people around me that make decisions for me. Otherwise, if I'm on podcasts or I'm meeting with people or working people online or in person or at events, I'm investing all that emotional energy at that time. And I come out and I have the zero ability to make a decision.
Right. Yes. And we'll be talking about this in a minute. There's another thing called your definition of your energy. And that's another reason why you need a lot of people around. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So emotional authority is, again, really important because when you were growing up as a child, depending on what kind of authority your parents were. So I got to look at your parents. They're both generators, just like you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, they are not emotionally defined. So if they didn't know how to deal with this, maybe as a kid, you know, we don't parent the best sometimes because we don't understand. And some parents are very intuitive and they do sense and know these things of what their kids need or want. But a kid that's emotionally defined that is not allowed to express or share their emotions, whether it's in a high or in a low, or do have their own autonomy to know like they need to be alone or whatever it is, if they're not allowed to do that, that's not good.
Hmm.
It can cause a lot of problems later in life with relationships or just how they move through the world. What do you like? How do you feel about that as far as your parents?
Well, so yeah, my parents, I can't say they're super active in my upbringing. My sister and my brother were. I actually don't know. I actually don't even know their human design. That's funny. But um,
Your brother and sister, you're
yeah,
saying?
brother and sister, because they raised,
What are their astrology?
12-degree Aries is my sister. My brother was 13-degree Cancer. Oh, sorry, 16-degree Cancer. So, and I have a younger brother too, but they're the ones who are older. They raised me. So that, especially for my mother, who had left several times, that that brought all of that, the relationships in my life to help bring out that, like the female relationships. Um, they were there to, because I didn't have the outlet with my mother, the female relationships later in my life were there bringing that energy that was stuck. And as I was processing all these emotions and memories and thoughts and feelings and life experience through my fascia, all that stuff had to come out. For a lot of people, it still stays in them. Like mine was on the way out. So I attracted people constantly along the way that I would push those buttons, bring it out.
So you maybe didn't suppress so much. You had you had these experiences of letting out these really more extreme, would you say?
Well, it also leads to the type of work I do. I've always been high and low. So my life has been these emotional extremes. And if we manifest through emotions, then that would make sense because we do. I have manifested highs and lows at the bizarrely most extreme ways. Most people can never even imagine any one of my lows or any one of my highs. And I've had them through several courses of my life. So that makes complete sense.
Yeah. Well, and interesting that more than half of the population are emotionally defined. So there are more people in the world having these waves of high highs, low lows than not. And so even just looking at what's going on in the world or how people like react on social media, I laugh and I sometimes say people who always gotta they gotta, say stuff are probably emotionally defined because it's like depending if they're in a high or a low. And if they're not in this neutral state, they don't kind of like think about it. They're kind of just like, ah. And so I think that helps all of us to know that there's more people that are emotionally defined than not. And that therefore these people need more time to process things.
Hmm.
And we live in obviously, I mean, I know it's shifting now, but we live in a busy, crazy world with like, make your decision, make it now. Like, great for like someone like me, but then over half the population is just like, don't have time to process experiences, emotions. And it's it becomes not good and toxic later on because they're not allowed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I get that. I think over the years I've learned to, I definitely could see patterns, so I could build systems around what I didn't understand. Before, when I would leave the clinic, I said to my wife, like, no conversation about anything other than where are we going, what are we going to do. Um, like, don't ask questions, like, no deep conversations. This isn't the time to vent things out because I, I had to process all the emotions from working with people before I could function again. And that, again, at an extreme level, because I would see 12, 14, 15 people a day with all of this energy coming at me.
Right. And so that will get us into your definition of your energy. So you can be single definition, you can have a split definition, a triple or a quad. And so the most of the population would be split. So what this means is like two concentrated energy areas that that aren't connected to each other. So they call them two separate. So this would be split. So I'm single, so I have a certain energy. Most of my defined energy is here. And so again, make decisions for myself. I don't need other people. Like it's all like contained here. And the more splits you have, the more you have these different energies. So you're a triple split. So
Hmm.
triple split and quad are more unusual. So I think I've only done two other people that had triple splits. Otherwise, they're mostly single and split. Um, so I just want to read a little bit. So I think this has been most interesting so far. So approximately 11% are triple split definition. 46% split, 41% are single, and then only about 1% are the quad. So I haven't done a chart like that yet. So triple split, um, so they may have a faster processing speed, but it's more complex because they need people to be around them to bridge all these gaps. So like you were saying, and you've probably noticed over the years, like when you're ready and in a good state, like being around people is what's helping bridge all those energy gaps to make
Hmm.
decisions as well. So, um, so I'm just going to list
And I
these up.
always have people around me. For me, the way that we look at these patterns, people, well, like those people like to be alone. Those people like to disconnect. Those people like to have people around. So there's a reason why people have the human nature. It's not socialization. It's,
Right. It's an energetic thing
yeah.
that
Yeah,
they
but
need.
we like to, as human beings, we like to associate a reason with why something happens. We want that to be with something that we've learned or been a part of in this world. But I found that actually not to be true. I find that when people put on a facade, that facade can say, I like to be social, but I'm not, really not. Or I like to be alone, but I really don't. So they can put on a facade, but under pressure, the truth always comes out.
Right. Right. So I'm going to list these off. So triple split do well to be around more than one person. Otherwise, they may feel trapped. I don't know if you've experienced that. They need diversity of people around. Otherwise, you can feel scattered, impatient. Um, so, need movement. No single bridge, person, or single moment will bring you the same sense of wholeness versus this movement. So, and then there are complex beings with extraordinary potential for assimilating and integrating information through movement.
That
And
makes
that's
sense.
literally what you're doing, right? That's literally what human garage is and what fascial maneuvers. It's a form of movement, and you found it in the way that your body resonated with the most.
Yeah, and then that dips back into the astrology and the Earth part, because that Earth at Capricorn. Like I'm out here in Miami, and everybody comes in the right times, but my midheaven's 7 degrees Capricorn. Well, the person I came out here to see to help is 7 degrees Capricorn, and and that's and we're on a Capricorn day where you're actually Capricorn day in Aries, which is the day that we're doing this. So what I find the most interesting is and people ask me all the time, why do I look at all this? Like I know the astrology of every cab driver, every Uber driver, every restaurant, every server. I know the birthday of every single person. Like if there's one that goes by in a day that I don't know, that I interacted with, it would be very, very shocking. And people ask me why I do that. And I thought about it for a long time because it's obsessive. And it's because through the improbability of patterns, not like, for example, seeing all February 3rd. Like I had another one. I had a big media deal yesterday, February 3rd. It's the same astrology keeps coming up, and the Tauruses right now. The improbability of all the people walking into my life with those astrology signs it's impossible. It's 1 in a trillion. And that's how I see God. That's my way of seeing God, in the improbability of the patterns, because in a random selection that would never happen. And I've noticed these patterns.
So all these energetic patterns that essentially are teaching you about you,
Yeah, and they come in at specific
how
times.
you connect to because we're all connected, right? So it's just what is your part of that?
Yeah, you're Aries, Scorpio, Sagittarius, and you're doing this today, which is less of an interview and more of an education. And it's on a Taurus day in Aries, a manifestation day. And I just went through 2 Grandmaster Taurus Aries days in which my life completely changed. And I'm literally being catapulted into a new reality right now. And I just look at it and say, okay, why today?
Right today,
And why at 11 o'clock? Because we're going to come back to that 11 that you had earlier, 11%.
11%. Yeah, all these synchronicities are, and I think so. I'll step forward to like, so for me, my main gene key, which is called our life's work, is called the pattern interrupter.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I mean, I could see that. I could see today's. I'm getting an education too, and what I like about what you're doing is you're doing what I do, which is I bring things to a global perspective. If I step out of a situation and look at it, I can see the reason why it's there. And pattern interrupting, I'm definitely in a series of patterns. So your presence today is definitely a pattern interrupt.
Yeah, and yours for me. So,
Hmm.
well, that's what's fun. So I want to talk about, so there's a thing called your profile in human design, and it's kind of like, I call it like your personality of your energy. And so you're a 1-3. So 1-3 is an investigator, martyr. And so that means you like to investigate, 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 and then you need to go experience it. And that, if I had to explain you in a summary, that's he's always experiencing things or investigating, and then he's like, I gotta try it.
Yeah, that's me. It's like, no, I can't even imagine somebody doing that. Like 3 weeks later, I'm doing it.
Because your body's like, I just gotta.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's for sure. 1-3 emotional generator. Yeah, makes sense.
Um, and so when we look at human design, it kind of looks like the chakra system, but there's two more. So it's like 7, 8, 9. And so we have defined energy in the body, which is consistent energy we always have. And then we have undefined, which are open. And that's where the environment conditioning happens. That's where the environment influences us or people you're around. And so yours is interesting. Well, so one, you're a triple split, which we already talked about. But from here down, it's all defined energy. Throat, ajna, and the crown are your open centers. So this is where people are coming in and out of their energies, or where you need to be around people to get that energy to come in and out. Um, so that's pretty. I think
That
that's
would probably actually, because I'm going through a pattern in my body right now. For the first time in a long time, my gait hasn't been quite equal, and I have a disruption between my upper body and my lower body, which I've isolated comes right about here.
interesting.
And it's quite ironic because it's one of those disruptions that I was getting frustrated about the other day because it doesn't seem to be anything I can do to resolve it right now. So I know that. So I'm just sitting in it, waiting for the time for it to resolve. Frustrating as all hell sometimes, because for me that the cohesion between that is perfect movement. So I haven't been moving perfectly for a little while. In other words, long walks aren't comfortable, but they will be again shortly. But it's interesting that you said that from here. It's
Yeah.
really, really about from here down.
Yeah. Well, and it's important, like we said, for your energy to be around people, which you are constantly around people. But depending on the person you're with, they have these three areas defined? Because if they do, you're going to all of a sudden feel better in your body, you make decisions better. And you don't feel that with everyone because their energy is a little bit different. So, and you naturally know and feel all of these things that we're even talking about. It's just that I'm trying to show you, like, oh, look, you can actually see this in a system, which is
Yeah, I like that. I like to be able to see. I absorb things through experience and things like human design and gene keys. For me, I'm moving into that experience, and it doesn't change the way I interact. It just gives me another lens at why I do things,
yeah, yeah,
or why I don't do things sometimes.
right. Well, so there's another thing in human design called your cognition, also known as your spidey sense. So
26 degrees Scorpio.
what's that?
My spidey sense,
Is 26 degrees Scorpio
yeah, my intuition.
your intuition? Oh, yours is feeling.
Hmm.
So on all the charts that I've done, there has been some people that, not a lot, they'll have this feeling. But again, it's like, so mine is touch. So touch, taste, there's inner and outer vision. So there's all these different senses, and your most heightened sense is feeling. So really, and that's a lot of what you do is when you're connecting with others. So not only are you emotionally defined, but you have your heightened feeling sense as long as you allow your energy to use the feeling. I
It
mean,
makes sense. Makes
yeah.
perfect sense.
Well, I remember some of us coaches when you were teaching us different things and these lifestyle artist programs that we were in, like just your progression of how you went through learning, work on the physical body. And then at one point you met this woman who taught you the energy, more the energy work type of
Gisela.
modality. So
Yeah. Well, I needed to. The funny part was, because lots of people around me did it, but I needed to believe it.
that's what I was going to say. So, like, I think you have such a great sense to be able to do that because it's a heightened sense of yours. And so I was wondering when you actually dove into doing it, if you're like, I'm really good at this. Not really good at this, but like I get it.
You know what, to be honest with you, in through that, I was kind of interested in being able to do stuff with the human body, but very quickly, by the time I got to clinic, in maybe I'm going to say probably around 2015 or so, I hated working on the human body. I hated working on people. I did it because that was an ends to a means to an ends. And I didn't like it because at the time I was working on the body. It wasn't connected to the energy. And then as soon as I connected it to the emotions and the energy, and it's like, oh, whoa, this is cool again. And I equated that to discovering, uncovering, remembering, uh, downloading, channeling the actual fascial maneuvers, the torque therapy and the therapies. And I originally equated it to being because it was something that I brought into the world, uh, or came through me, another way of saying it. But really, it wasn't so much about that. It wasn't really about me. It was about how um, it was about how um, those things I'd connected the dots, and when I connected the dots, I just wanted to make it happen. Before there's like a disconnect. I had to do this work. There's something that was missing. I didn't know what it was, and then I equated that to not liking to touch the body.
Yeah. And I'm like the opposite, like because of my physical limitations for so long, that's all I do is crave to work and touch on the body, but my body's like, you can't.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I
Well,
be
because that's your soothing sense. So your body's, your soul is saying, well, I need you to pay attention to something else because you're working all this stuff out with the touch and you're not doing something internally. So that's why the stoppage.
right. Well, it's really easy to touch someone else. Are you doing that for yourself? Like, and it
And
doesn't, I'm not just saying like, oh,
I'm
I'm
going
just,
to
I
touch
need to touch myself,
myself, touch myself, touch myself.
but it's doing anything for myself. And a
Yeah,
loving,
fair.
like a touch would be loving. And
Yeah.
so that's, I've always been, I have very strong, like, I know who I am. I know what I'm supposed to do in the world. I've always known that. But there's this other part that I just, the feminine part that I just was like, I feel a little bit better over here in the masculine, and I don't want to be, I don't want to be all fluffy puffy over here, and it's of course family dynamic and how I grew up, and I was the mediator, like what I took on a lot, but that I was supposed to learn along the way is just so interesting, and I think that's what a lot of these systems can teach people, but also that's what fascial maneuvers can teach people as well,
Yeah.
is connecting back with yourself.
Yeah. It's interesting because fascial maneuvers make the outcome is to touch yourself, one of the things, and to hold yourself and hold space, which is an unusual in movement processes, yoga and Pilates and sports and stretching. It's exactly the opposite. It's actually an external. So ironically, to satiate my need, I found movement that forced me to touch myself.
That's right. And it's not a sexual thing. It's a good thing. it's a it's a it's a it's a loving thing. Because we're always seeking that out from someone else. But really we need to be doing that for ourselves, and we've been conditioned or live in these different cultures and societies where it's like, no, like you don't have time for that. You need, whatever the reasons. And so to me, my journey with fascial maneuvers and human garage is, yeah, loving and embodying me, all
Hmm.
of me,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, I can say that. It's been a journey. Even today, I remnants not as deep, but not wanting to, or they not wanting to reward myself until I've done something, and that done something was those conscious planets, that knowing that there's a bigger thing, and it could never ever finish because it was always out there. That's still something that happens today, less like but when I'm under stress, when I'm physically under a heavy emotional load, I can find myself in that situation where I don't take care of myself good enough. Like I'll sacrifice myself to push through. And those are things that that I work on. I say to people all the time, they go, are you fixed? Or you're like, man, and it's like, you got it
Great
the
perspective.
wrong way. It's like, there's no such thing as fixed. It's not an end destination. It's part of music. It's like the note of music doesn't happen at the front of the bow in a violin or at the end of the bow. It's the entire stroke. And so we're always in that. We're always in tension, not tension. We're always moving back and forth. And that's, that accepting that, because that's not what we're told. We're told that you're here, you're broken, you have to go over here so you're better. And you're not okay from when you're here, and then you're never ever going to get there. Or when you get there, you realize that that wasn't it. And then the delusion breaks. That's why
Right.
I see so many people who are financially successful, who are worldly successful, that have problems. That's why a lot of celebrities come to me.
Yeah. Well, and awareness is the key because, like you said, some of these things these patterns will still surface sometimes. And like my favorite quote is from Dr. Phil, you can't change the things you don't acknowledge. And so when you acknowledge and the awareness comes in, it is the game changer, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just that, like, here it comes, and you may even sit in it for a little while, this pattern that you've been in, but it's just being like, okay, I see you. I see you. I hear you. I love you. But you're not, yeah, you're not helping the flow. So that's what we're all doing in the end. And so, so I'm gonna get into your gene keys. So this
Now,
is
this
where,
is something that I don't really have a lot of experience with.
okay. So I tell people that gene keys is like an evolved system of human design. So human design, um, they're called 64 gates. In gene keys, they're called 64 keys. And really, there's these 64 I Ching archetypes. If you want to get in genetics, you can talk about 64, and the genetic codon, whatever. We won't get into any of that, but it's really fascinating how it's like another layer of really specific energetic gifts. And so I'm not going to like go through all of it, but I'm just going to pinpoint a few things that I think are really interesting. So one of the keys is called our life's work. And so I tell people this is like 70% of your energy because it's your sun sign. So we have energetic components from all the different planets, all these different places. But here in this life's work, this is a big part of who you are. So yours, do you know your gene key for this? Okay. So it's gene key 10. And gene key 10, so when we look at a gene key, it's just energy. And we look at three different levels of energy. So the highest form of the energy is called the siddhi. This is the most evolved state of that energy. And then in the middle, this is your gift. And then the lower frequency is the shadow. So all important, all how we get to that higher evolved state. And so for you so the highest state is called being.
Hmm.
And the gift is naturalness. And the shadow is self-obsession.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly the way I see it. As you hear me say all the time, it's be a human being, not a human doing. And in order to be, it's interesting because in order to be, all the doings have to be done. Otherwise, you end up doing pretty quickly. And so I built my life recently around having all the doings done around me so that I can be more. Doesn't take away the fact that I still have to do things in this world, but a lot of those things can be done by other people right now. And the other part about it, you said being and naturalness.
Naturalness.
So I had a really interesting descriptive of the soul and the soul energies, and one was authenticity, and the other was and these are how your soul operates. Was I'm forgetting the word, but it translates to embodiment. And the lady who read it, she goes, "I've never seen anybody with two prime energies. You have two prime energies," and that's what naturalness is to me, because it's just flowing. And when things aren't flowing, and I'm doing too much, I don't feel right. That's part of it. And then the third one you said was,
Self-obsession would be like the shadow area of the energy.
yeah, because I go into that self-obsession to understand how to be better
feedback.
and how to be natural. So I definitely dip into there all the time. The self-obsession can get kind of crazy sometimes. That's what I do in the dark. And it's like, and I work and work and work and work, and then all of a sudden it's easier for me to be.
Well, it's interesting that you came up with the words like embodiment and authenticity, because I wrote down on my paper here, I just gave you like an archetype name for this energy, and it says authentic embodier.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and
that's
the
all
words
your
come
work.
out a couple
That's your
times.
work in the world is authentic embodier.
Yeah, that definitely, those words, at one point we were looking to brand something around what we're doing, and it was about being authentic, be authentic. In the early stages when we're looking at names and how to talk about what we were trying to do. But authenticity is the hardest thing to be, because it's so easy to not be authentic in this world. It's so easy to have people pull on you, or to wear a mask, or to do things that you don't necessarily, you wouldn't normally do, because of a way, an expectation, obligation, society or otherwise. Yeah, I can see that. The greatest part about having all this stuff, even in what you're doing right now for me, is that it just confirms I'm already living in it. And that's really the key. I think that the mismatch is when there is naturally a way that we are, but we live a different way. And that's where our bodies is the instrument of that disruption. That's where we don't feel at ease. And that's the beginning of disease.
Right. Yeah. And then there's another gene key in our gene key chart that's called our purpose. And so we really can't do our life's work if we don't know the energy of the purpose. And so your purpose is key 25. And the highest state of that is universal love.
And then
The
25
gift,
is 7, which is Pisces. It makes sense. It's also my wound.
the gift is acceptance,
Hmm.
and the shadow would be constriction.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So that actually, again, I always go back to astrology, because again, at the end of it, it comes from this
Yeah. Which
communication.
this is astrology, so it's using your birth chart. It's just I try
25.
to explain people it's just different ways to look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, different. That's what I say. It's just a different interface, because 25 is Pisces, and that you get Pisces through Cancer and Gemini, which is caregiving and thinking, leading and communicating, and then Pisces 7 is a net for Pisces. Well, that's what 25 is,
Yeah.
and then that's also my wound. But my wound is at 28 degrees Pisces, which is 10, which is today. Not Pisces, but the energy of 10. I
Yeah.
always go to the energy first, and then I look at how it expresses, because the 10 of today is more pertinent than the fact that we're in Aries, or that Uranus is at 29. All these things, the energy, or Capricorn's at 13. The number is more important to me, because at the end of it, that was the truth. Everything else is a way we express it.
Right. Yeah. So I also have gene key 25,
Mm.
but it's called my attraction, my attractor. So we have the attractor key, which is our magnet or whatever. And so I just thought that was interesting that it's your purpose, but yet it's my attractor.
Yeah, that makes sense. That also makes sense why, a lot of people, they'll come and say, I just saw you online, or heard something. And those are the ways that we're guided into these things, right?
Right. Yeah. So another key that we share is key 15. So for you, it's your evolutions. So what you're here to learn is this key 15. So the highest state is fluorescence, which is an interesting word. The gift is magnetism, and then the shadow would be dullness.
That makes sense again. Totally.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I have that key also, but it's in my it's called my SQ. So my spiritual quotient, or like it really represents the physical body. So from like 0 to 7 years old is when that kind of energetically got imprinted into my life. And so just interesting, like it's what you're here to learn. And then for me, it's like my little kid self of this physical body. And just because a lot of my things of why I came to you too was because my physical body. So
Interesting.
what else do I want to point out? Oh, so back to your purpose being that universal love. So, I gave it an archetype name as compassionate heart. And so if you're not in that compassionate heart, it's hard for you to do it would be hard for you to do your life's work.
Yeah. Yeah, that actually is true. I can get like right now today, I can get bogged down into the doing of things, and then I'm not in my compassionate heart. Yeah. That can happen pretty easily sometimes. Especially with what we're doing. We're building a worldwide organization. There's lots of architectural doing, and it can get pretty easy to get sucked down into the doing of it sometimes.
Right. Well, the last key we share is so it's key 19. So for you, it's your IQ. That's your intellectual quotient. So that's all. That's like your mental body. Um, so that's in. So that's your 19. And for me, it's my purpose. And so the energy of this key is sacrifice is the highest form. The gift is sensitivity.
Huh.
The shadow would be codependence.
That makes sense.
And so I think interesting that that you have the key again representing kind of this mental part of our energy and it being my purpose. Because I remember however long ago you were, talking to me about all the stuff I'm going through, and you said when you embrace the sensitivity, because you're very sensitive, that sensitive energy part of you, that's when you'll be in your gift and you'll do what you're supposed to do.
Well, when I hear things that I've said before, I sound incredibly smart quite often, and I realize I'm not that smart.
No, but again, your spidey sense is feeling, so you
Yeah,
have a feeling.
I feel. I translate the feeling into a word.
Yeah. Well, and so we can kind of, tie in and end up our kind of discussion, but so I guess the summary of me doing this for you is that we see a lot, from the outside, we see a lot of what we just talked about in you, Gary, whether it's human garage coaches, people you've worked with, people that only know you from social media and the internet. Your energy and your aura is expressing this all the time. And so it's just really cool to know what you are doing as your work in the world and that you you are aligned, as we say, or embodying what you're supposed to do as part of the puzzle of the world.
Yeah, yeah. That I definitely know that. I know that because I don't want to be anywhere else or do anything else. There's days where it's like I don't know if I can do this anymore. I've had that. I've had that moments a couple times, but very rarely. But when I would say to people, I always want to be somewhere else other than where I was, I don't have that feeling anymore. And that feeling is when I recognize that's when I'm doing what I came here to do.
Yeah. Well, and then just bringing it back to like the energies of your mom and dad. And it sounds like maybe they weren't a lot of the part of you growing up, or it's important as maybe it needed to be in your life, and pros and cons of whatever was happening. But your mom being a Leo, which is all about love, doesn't mean she was aligned with that all the time. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. And then your dad being a Scorpio, which is all about protection and just remembering, like, as souls, protection and love are the most important and first two steps of the step system before we can evolve into anything that we are meant to do in the world.
Yeah. I picked them for the right reasons to complete the journey, to be on the journey, that path that I am. If I chose anybody else, I wouldn't be here. That's the biggest thing, is the acknowledgement of who I am and why I'm here. There's moments and times where I look at situations and and I point to something external or uncomfortable or don't like, or can blame somebody once in a while. But the truth is that I picked this whole journey, and I fully, fully feel that, understand that, and embody that. I picked it. I picked the people, the situations. I picked having this conversation on a Aries day and on a Grand Master manifestation day in Aries. So, and so did you.
So did I.
Hmm.
And I just want to thank you for all the work you're doing in the world. I know a lot of people say that, but I'm just saying from my heart to your heart that whether we see each other or don't see each other, because um because we're busy people, we are doing the work we're supposed to do in the world, that I am always behind you, rooting for you, because I know that it will ultimately help all of us in the end. And I really love you. I appreciate you for being a mentor in my life, and like all these things that are moving forward and changing in my life are a lot because of you. And so I just appreciate it, and I hope you get everything that you've ever dreamed of about for this
Well,
movement.
I appreciate that. I mean, I really do. I feel it. Um, and probably today, being the Scorpio that you are in Sagittarius, probably today was one of the days where I'm definitely at a turning point, a pivot point. And so everything happens at right time. So at some point, somewhere, we agreed to have this conversation today because it was needed. So appreciate that.
Just to remind you of how far you've come, and I know you know how far you've come, but my mom texted me whenever she texted me something, and it was from Fox News about Leon Rimes and human ground, and she's like, "Have you seen this?" That's when I knew you've done it. You have impacted the world, because for my mom, who knows I'm a human garage coach but doesn't really understand, and she is a little bit on social media, for her in her own news that she watches to see an article with this star, Leon Rimes, and all the stuff that happened, it just was like, he got there. You're there. You're touching a lot of lives. And again, I know you know that it's not just you. It's just the energy that you created
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
let it all unfold.
Yeah, but I appreciate the reminder because sometimes it doesn't feel like that. When you're in it, when I'm in it, sometimes it doesn't feel like that because the amount of energy that's moving, I mean, it has been intense the last month too.
I can only
Intense
imagine.
in every way possible. It's like every part of my Chiron has been tested, every part of it. And I know why it was being tested because this moment here is the breakthrough.
Yeah. Well, I
And
wish you
it's only the breakthrough to the next level, but
to the
there's
next level. That's right. Well, I wish you and Jason and Aisha, other co-founders of Human Garage, well on your journey forward. And do you want to quick just say where people can find Human Garage?
just type us in on any search engine anywhere.
You'll find us.
Look on your TV, look in a magazine, or go over and peek in the friends of the window of your friends at night. They're probably doing something. You
That's
just
right.
don't know it yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Check out Human Garage. Thank you so much, Garry, for joining me today.
Thank
I
you
love
so
you
much.
lots.
Love you too.
Thank you for being here and witnessing the architecture of the soul. If this conversation resonated, I invite you to explore your own energetic design and the path that's uniquely yours. You can connect with me, learn more about my work, or book a session through alignsoulwellness.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow, share, or leave a review. It helps this work reach those who are ready for it. Until next time, trust the architecture of your soul.